In this video, I'm going to introduce you to some really powerful tools that you have inside Ableton Live to help you focus on the music that you're making, on the creative side of things, and spend less time worrying about the music theory side of things. Now, these aren't a replacement for having a basic understanding of music theory, but they will help you to work quickly and get your ideas down while they're still fresh. Now, before we start, if you want to understand the basic theory that you need to make great sounding music, then I'd highly recommend checking out our new Skillshare course, Practical Music Theory for Producers, which you can take for free today. It's condensed down to include just what you need to know and nothing more, so it takes less than half an hour to complete. It's designed for music makers that want to get on with making tracks. And you can sign up for a free trial of Skillshare using the link in the description and then cancel any time before the subscription starts. Now let's dive into today's video. Okay, so let's dive in and have a look at these tools that are going to make your life easier when it comes to music theory inside Ableton Live. So what I've got in this project is some basic drums, and I've got an electric guitar loop, which is in the key of A minor. Let's have a quick listen to that. Okay, so what I want to do is add in a bass line, a melody, and a pad to this loop, making sure that it's all in key and it sounds good with this guitar loop that I've got, which is in A minor. So I need to use the notes that are in the key of A minor and make sure that I avoid out of key notes because they're going to sound a bit strange. Let's have a look at the tools that I have to help me do that. The first one is the Scale tool, and you're going to find that under MIDI Effects and Scale. Now make sure you open up this drop-down menu, and what we're looking for, because we're working in the key of A minor, is we're either going to be looking for minor if you're working in Ableton Live 11 or later, or if you're working in Ableton Live 10 or earlier, this will be called C minor, and we're able to change the root note. So I'm going to drag in minor and drag that onto the bass track. We're going to start with adding in a bass line. Now, the first thing that we want to do is change this bass or root note to A. At the moment, this is set to C minor. We want it to be A minor. So let's use the up arrow, or you can click and drag. And there we go. That's now set to A minor. What this is going to do is stop us from playing any notes that are out of key. So if I try and play a note that's out of key, it's going to snap it back to the closest note that's in key. So let's have a look at this in action. In the key of A minor, we've got all of the white notes and none of the black notes. Okay, so if we're playing black notes, they're going to be out of key for A minor. So let's hear what happens when we try to play an A sharp, which is out of key for A minor. It's snapping us back to this A because that's the closest note that's in key. So you can be confident that you can put any notes across this piano roll with this scale tool loaded and set to the right key, that everything that you play is going to be in key. And this also goes for notes that you play in with a MIDI keyboard. Everything's going to sound in key. Now I'm going to repeat this across the melody and the pad tracks by copying and pasting, making sure that I click before the instance of the instrument so that we're pasting it before that. Otherwise, you'll get this error message, which says insert MIDI effects before instruments. So make sure that we're selecting sort of before the instrument here and pasting. There we go. Now, anything that I play on the melody and pad track will also be in key, which is great. Now, the next tool that we're going to look at to make your life easier is called the Chord Tool. So let's click and drag that onto the pad. What this is going to allow us to do is build chords that are in key by just pressing one note, which is really, really cool. So what we can do is say, okay, when I play the A, I want you to also play the note that's 3 semitones or 3 notes up by putting 3 into here. And I also want you to play the note that's 7 notes up or 7 semitones up. So let's have a listen to this. When I press the A, I'm going to hear the A, the C, and the E, because the C is 3 semitones up and the E is 7 semitones up. Now, what's really cool about this is I can now press any note on the MIDI keyboard, and all of the notes that get added to it are going to be in key because we've got this scale tool. It means that any out of key notes are getting snapped back into key. So I can press anywhere on this keyboard and I'm going to get chords that are in key, which is awesome. All I'm doing there is using one finger to press notes on the keyboard, and I'm getting those really nice chords back. And the final thing that I want to show you isn't a MIDI effect, so I'm going to get rid of these MIDI effects. I want to show you a really quick way to remember or find out what notes are in each major or minor key. So all you need to remember for this is the fact that C major contains all the white notes and none of the black notes. So C major looks like this: C, so all of the white notes are included in the key of C major and none of the black notes. I'm going to press Command A to select all of those and delete. And there is an equivalent for minor, which is A minor. So if we do the same, but starting from A, then we have all of the notes that are in the key of A minor, okay? Now, the way that major and minor keys work and the way that you determine the notes that are inside it is a basic pattern, which looks something like this. Start at the root note for a minor scale and go up 2 notes. 1, 2, this note is included. Go up 1 more note, this note is included. Go up 2 more notes, this note is included, so forth and so on. That pattern is set for the minor scale. It's a different pattern for the major scale and all of the other different scales. So let's say you wanted to figure out what notes are in the key of G sharp minor, for example. That would be really hard to do if you didn't know what notes were in that scale. But all you need to do is map out the notes that are in A minor, which is just all of the white notes starting from A. Select the notes. Oh, that sounded good, didn't it? And shift the root note up or down to the G sharp, which is actually just down 1 semitone. And there we go. We've just figured out all of the notes that are in G sharp minor because the pattern or the jumps between the notes are exactly the same. All that's changing is where you're starting on the piano keyboard, so you can figure out those notes really, really easily. Now, if you're using Ableton Live 11 or later, this feature is pretty much built in, which Ableton Live 10 and all of the previous versions didn't have. So let's have a look at how we can use that. I'm going to delete these notes, and we're going to take a look at the scale feature, which you can turn on just over on the left-hand side here, and it defaults to C major. Now, what you can see is that some of these note tracks are highlighted green and some of them aren't. What Live has done is highlighted the note tracks in green that are in key, and it's ignored the ones or left them unhighlighted if they're out of key. So what we can do is we can select any key. We could select D major, and then we can see that different notes are highlighted to indicate what's in key. We're in A minor, so let's go A minor, and there we go. As long as we're only using the notes that are highlighted, then everything that we do is going to be in key. And you can also press scale to hide the notes that are out of key, which is awesome. So you're only seeing the notes that are in key. And the root notes are highlighted with this slightly bigger green patch, which is really helpful to see. So there we go. I hope that's made the task of writing in key in Ableton Live a little bit easier for you.